That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Monkey.
And welcome to the finale of Great Disneyland Ranking Podcast.
I'm going to try and do 10 shakes with the egg shaker. There we are.
All right. That's right. We are into our top 10 attractions. Very exciting. We have Priest in the comments here. Do you have Smuggler's Run is your number 3, Priest? I'm sorry. I like Smuggler's Run, but I'm just going to judge you a little bit for that. That's way too high. I'm sorry. Anyways. Good times. Monkey, let's just dive right into it. I will go ahead and go first this time around.
Okay.
My number 10 is going to be the Indiana Jones Adventure. And honestly, I initially had this in like top 15, but the new refurb bumped it up. I'm not going to spoil anything for you besides the fact that literally all the lighting has been updated. Like it looks incredible. Just as far as like the lighting and the projections go.
No spoilers in the chat as well, please.
Yeah, for sure. It looks incredible, and there's something. There's something. That's all I'll say. There's something.
Okay. There's something there that wasn't there before.
Yes,
there may be something there that wasn't there before.
So yeah, I mean, what can you say about Indy? It's I still vividly remember that it's a ride that gives a really good first impression because there's that whole factor that you and I have talked about where it's like the whole ride for the most part is basically like, or at least half of it is basically like a one big movie set in a way. And I still feel like it's one of the like top tier attractions that kind of pulls that off. It's like, for all of Universal's bluster about the ride the movies thing, I truly feel like this is one of the attractions where that is like for sure the case. You are absolutely like, you feel like you are right in the thick of an actual Indiana Jones movie. Obviously the queue is groundbreaking. Like pretty much for my money, the queue is still probably the gold standard for Disney. I don't think it's the best queue I've ever done just because I think that certain Universal queues are probably a little bit higher right now in my regard, but it's still just, like for my money, as soon as you enter the temple, you're in the damn attraction. Like it's that good. Priest says, I've only ridden Indiana Jones once, so maybe that's why it's high on your list. Yeah.
Also, I mean, it's in Europe. Rosebud was his sled. They named the dog Rosebud.
So yeah, I think this is a good kind of appropriate placement for Indy for me. It's a modern classic for sure. Arguably, probably the last masterpiece that they have added to Disneyland because I don't think Rise of the Resistance is a masterpiece. Sorry, but yeah, good way to kick things off. All right, what's your number 10?
Okay. My number 10, looking at just saying with these 10 and maybe the list in general, it's like, well, okay, where do these factor in relation to each other in comparison? Which we'll see how that goes. So anyway, well, actually, what I mean, we'll see how that goes. We've mostly seen how that goes for like 52 now. Soon to be 53 because my number 10 I'm giving to Alice in Wonderland.
Aha. Okay, that's my number 12, so we're pretty on point with that.
Yeah. Like I've said before, like I figure if Snow White was still Scary Adventures, it would be somewhere like in the middle of this tier, likely. I mean, I still like Enchanted Wish, all right, but I was attached to Scary Adventure, so here for now, I'm giving the number 1 to Alice for how it's going more elaborate with its track layout and capabilities of said track. You can go up track and then down track, and and the nature of even though it is technically a book report ride, it's it's Alice in Wonderland, so what plot?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it suits the ride format well, and
but also it's not
when
technically a book report if you factor in the Mad Tea Party. The Mad Tea Party kind of throws things out of sequence a little bit.
Well, yeah, that too. Although then again, there is a book. A book is the sign for the ride. Anyway, and of course the projection effects from 2014, I think they were added into the attraction quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It was a shorter line to get on.
That's true. Like I said, it's not like it's impossible to get on it like Pan is. Like Pan, you're basically doomed to wait in a long line forevermore.
I think it was when I went in maybe September, I rope dropped Alice. That was my choice of rope drop. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, if it wasn't for the I don't know, I might check like when I am waiting on rope drop, like I've got 3 rope drop days. I might check one of them to see like if Alice is still at 5 minutes, like given the fact that it is technically an early entry attraction. I don't know. That would be a good place to start. I'm definitely considering doing one Toontown rope drop because of the Roger factor, if anything else.
Yeah, for both Toontown and Alice, just take the route between the castle and the Matterhorn.
Right. Yeah.
Deposits you right at Alice, even.
I could get on Storybook Land really quick, too.
Yes, that is right by Storybook Land.
All right, anyways.
Take that through the castle rope drop route.
Dude, I'm so fucking excited.
Alternative.
I'm so fucking excited for Space Mountain to have single rider just because that just alleviates so much rope drop stress.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Lightning lane stresses as well.
Exactly, yeah. Like even though I do plan on using Lightning Lane, it's still like you can only use it one attraction, one attraction per day. Like like every day you only get to use each attraction one time, is what I'm trying to say. So with space, that's gonna come in handy still, even with Lightning Lane. All right. My number 9, Monkey, you notice that I have 2 different train-themed attractions still on my list. And and Casey Jr. is ahead of Big Thunder Mountain because Big Thunder Mountain is my number 9. I think that's insane. I really do. I acknowledge that's insane. I totally acknowledge that's insane.
Honestly, based on how you've hyped it up throughout this ranking podcast series, it's not really that much a surprise.
Right. Like, my childhood nostalgia, and we will get into my childhood nostalgia for Casey, but Thunder Mountain is a nearly perfect attraction. Literally, all of these are nearly perfect attractions. I honestly think the only reason why this isn't higher is because it's a wee bit short compared to other attractions on here. Like my top 5 are all just like 10 minutes plus attractions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the new service, 10 minutes plus.
Oh God. But this is definitely like, it's a Stone Cold classic. It's a Tony Baxter original. I think it really set the stage. Like it was very much groundbreaking for storytelling coasters. Very much still like one of the high points of that genre, still one of the high points of that genre. Matterhorn was themed, but it was not a storytelling coaster. It's arguably a storytelling coaster in its current form, but it definitely was not when it was opened.
Yeah, they didn't even add like the Yeti for how Tilda's mid.
It was literally just an indoor wild mouse.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we have this hill of dirt and a skyway beam. How can we make this nicer?
So Big Thunder just I think honestly it just speaks for itself. I really do. One thing I will say though is that I'm honestly kind of sick and tired of the whole argument that Big Thunder is better at Disneyland just because of the last scene. I think that's horseshit. I think the Disney World version is superior. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think the Disney World version is way bigger scale. Like the queue is obviously better. Like just hands down, obviously better. That's one thing with Disneyland's queue is that I do not like waiting in it. I really don't. Especially when it extends outside of like the main, like if it's just inside the main queue path with the town and everything, it's fine. You know, you're kind of in the middle of the action. Oh, thank you, Priest. Thank you. We do need to change it. You know, you're kind of in the middle of the action, but I mean, the one in Florida really sets up the attraction. I still think one of the most surreal moments in my first visit to the Magic Kingdom was entering the Big Thunder queue and being like, oh my God, we're walking up the mountain. We're walking up the mountain. Holy shit. And then, of course, loading actually inside the mine is like, I don't know. I just think it's overall a lot better. The flooded town, I think, is a set piece that is probably better than any set piece at Disneyland for my money. Yeah, I don't know. And the one in Paris is, I think, without a doubt, probably the best of all of them. So yeah,
maybe someday.
Yeah, I know. Right, Paris is honestly it's up there. It's up. We have Evan in the chat. He says Tokyo has the best Big Thunder, and I'm willing to fight over it. I don't know. I don't think Tokyo's is better than Paris, Evan. I'm sorry. Paris literally is on Tom Sawyer Island. It's literally the island. Okay, like it's hard to beat that. I have not been to Paris, Priest. I want to go. I very much want to go. Our good Ezra, aka Sandy Claus, has been a couple times. Okay, what's your number 9, Monkey?
My number 9, it's it's funny you say your number 9 is Big Thunder, because my number 9 is also a train. I gave it to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, now granted, probably one of the reasons that it's so high for me is still coming off of that first time doing the California version high.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, the high I got from it, not coming off it high.
That's going to be me.
The room is lava. But yeah, so it is sort of funny, like, comparing we've talked about this, back when this version opened, but comparing my reactions after getting off of Florida's and after getting off of California's, and having 3 years to watch POVs of Florida's and now here it is in person, but yeah, just placing this amongst the other things, this is how high it wound up. And honestly, I wouldn't be obviously it doesn't have to work within the Great Movie Rides footprint. That works nice. That's certainly a benefit. And of course, the queue, which, probably does subtly quite a bit of lifting for it. It's a better build-up for the main ride than Florida's is. Don't get me wrong, the inside of the Chinese theater is very nice, but it's kind of more like...
It literally is just the queue for the Great Movie Ride, though. It's literally they didn't change anything.
Yeah, but even then, aside from just putting up some Mickey posters in there, it doesn't quite feel like a build up to the pre-show. Hey, you're here to see a
and most of the queue is just going to be switchbacks in that courtyard.
Yeah, so whereas here, you're here at a movie theater on your way to the auditorium to see a new Mickey cartoon. It's better built up, and I don't know about all the speed upness you mentioned last time, but yeah, for my money, thinking it over, it could well be the best queue in the resort. So, yeah, I look forward to...
I have to experience it myself to compare it to Indy, but...
Well, at least with this one, you don't have to walk through the whole thing again.
Sure, that's true.
And also, this one is funnier than the queue for Indy.
I don't know, man. The Sala pre-show.
Okay, maybe more consistently amusing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, also this one has like Disney afternoon deep cuts and
of course.
and it's like, oh, props from these cartoons. It makes me want
Like
to
I
watch
said,
those
Monkey,
cartoons.
the only reason I'm even hesitant about that claim is just I have not heard good things about like people are not treating this queue well. So
I know I heard about the pepper shaker or whatever it was.
Yeah, so we will see how the upkeep on this queue goes. That's my only hesitation.
That's sad.
All right. Okay.
If nothing else, hopefully that doesn't affect being able to listen to Macho Duck.
So Z and K says, whatever the case may be for Disney attractions turned into a movie, I kind of hope Thunder will be next. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have like the Society of Explorers and Adventurers connection with Big Thunder now too. So that could definitely be something for sure. I think they could, like, honestly, I think the only thing holding back a potential Big Thunder movie is the fact that the Lone Ranger really crashed and burned. And I feel like the tone for a Big Thunder movie would be kind of similar to that, the way I'm picturing it. But yeah, I agree that I would like to see it. Itchy Lots Production says the floor is lava, aka, or I'm sorry, the room is lava, aka the floor is lava, hard mode.
The room is lava, huh?
Oh God. All right, number 8. Time to rip off the Band-Aid. I love it so much, but I can't justify placing it any further than this. It's the Casey Jr. Circus Train.
No joke. I kind of wondered what the odds were you were going to put it at your number 1.
It's not my number 1, no.
I guess we'll have to see if my other guess is correct, but anyway.
I will say that this is one of the absolute attractions where if I don't get a night ride on it, it might straight up ruin my whole day. Like, straight up. Like, my Disneyland, like, during the day, it's fine. You know, it's fine. Those night rides, there's something else. It's magical. It's just, I don't know. So really, some people knock the cages, and the cages, as I get older and have more social anxiety, and my body's a little bigger, yeah, the cages aren't the greatest, but if you can get a seat that's not a cage, if you can get that back seat, if you can get any of the actual, like, bench seats, it's wonderful, and even in the cages, I still don't really mind it, and like, first of all, I love the fact that the ride vehicle itself is a character that goes through a character arc on the ride. That's something I've always appreciated about this ride. This ride is stupidly simple. It is stupidly simple. That's part of the reason why I love it so much. It genuinely feels like the kind of train ride that would be at like a nice recreational park or something like that. The only difference is that you've got that kind of storybook land surrounding, which is just utter magic at night. I mean, I don't care. Storybook land for me is the most beautiful spot in the park at night. Like, hands down. I mean, it's just my heart just melts thinking about it, honestly. And yeah, like I said, you've got that whole character arc with Casey, you know, the perseverance thing. For some reason, I randomly really love that last tunnel that you go through. There's just a lot of really random just spots in this attraction that I really love. The narration is iconic. Well, as they say, that's the end of the lion. Yeah, just, and my childhood nostalgia for it obviously is just huge. I mean, it's like, I had one night, Monkey already knows the story, but just to reiterate it, there was one night, this was the second trip to Disneyland that I took after becoming an enthusiast. So basically the follow-up trip after the trip that was like, oh shit, love Disneyland. And it was literally Christmas. I think it was Christmas night because we didn't even get to the park until about 6 p.m. And everything was so fucking crowded but Casey didn't have any line. And I marathoned the shit out of Casey that night. And that childhood memory that's why to this day I will not go to the park at night and not do this at night. It's just like, it's super important to me. If anything, it probably should be ranked number one just on that basis alone. Like, there's a lot of like I feel like I would be more upset if Casey was closed during my trip than arguably any other attraction on this list, except maybe my number one. Like, it's that.
What about
up there?
You mean more than Golden Zephyr?
Yes, because we all know how reliable Golden Zephyr is.
Exactly. Whatever the hell I was going to say.
Okay. Let's see. Evan says Big Thunder has a surprising amount of backstory between the queue and the comic. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to mine from. Yeah, see what I did.
Mine. Yes.
Priest Disney Night Rides. That's Monkey. Would that be something you'd be down to do? Because I would gladly do a one-off on that.
That's even if I'm not on it, that's certainly a worthy topic.
Yeah, for sure. So we will get on that. I don't think I'm going to start the next proper season of the Great Ranking Podcast until after I get back from my next trip. So that could very easily be a filler thing to be done. All right. Okay, you're number 8, Monkey.
My number 8. Let's get ready to feel awkward, am I right? I gave my number 8 to Splash Mountain.
Oh, God.
Splash. I'm not saying I wanted to put it above Runaway Railway, but, I guess with Railway being so projection heavy and Splash Mountain being more three-dimensional physically, and I don't deny that, for better or worse, there is some sentimentality saddled with it, with this attraction. But yeah, it's and that probably does help quite a bit because, like, nevertheless, the animatronics I really appreciate getting to see, especially with their historic value. I love going into and through that first "How do you do" scene. I like, even me, I'm not exactly keen on wetness, so even every time the log leaves the station, in my mind I'm like, too late to be turning around. But no matter the result, it's always great going inside and entering that bayou with the geese. Let's see other stuff, And yeah, so as for the future of this thing, I'm certainly going to miss experiencing elements of it in person, but, I accept its fate, and I do agree that a reskin needs to happen. See? Easy, people.
I mean, I think one of the key components to this ride is just the track layout, and that's not changing.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so yeah. Well, at least somebody uploaded the ride's actual instrumental of "How do you do" to YouTube at long last. It may not be coming out of those speakers and amongst that smell or whatever, but you know what? But it's something. It's still there in some form.
You know what I really hate to admit? In my anticipation for this trip, I've actually been watching a lot of fucking live streams of the park. And it's like, I hate that just because it's like, I know that thing is going to like annoy me when I'm actually in the parks. But goddamn, when you find a host that's just like nice and low key and they're not like super in your face and high energy 24/7,
nice.
It's actually nice. I don't know. It actually, like, to be honest with you, the existence of those live streams is kind of helping with the anxiety over the post-trip depression that's inevitably going to happen.
Just because of where we are on this list, I thought you were going to say to prepare for this trip, you've been watching a lot of Song of the South material.
No, but that did happen. Not a lot of Song of the South, but I did watch Song of the South to prepare for the trip.
That great line from yours, like your utter surprise at realizing, wait, the best song in the ride is from this part of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to go.
Big head reach the top. Look out.
Yeah, and ironically, Disneyland, it's the ride next door to Splash Mountain where you just look at a clock.
Oh God, Tiki's currently printing 7 Save Splash Mountain t-shirts to wear every day. My trip's only going to be 6 days long, sir. I'll have you know. And one of those days is just going to be the killing time before the airport day.
Arguably, both rides neighboring Splash Mountain have a part where you look at a clock. Yet Splash Mountain doesn't. So, yeah, it's like... Yeah.
Ichila, I actually have been getting into, just to shout them out, I've been getting into Rope Drop Nation. They are really low-key. They're nice and relaxing, not in your face. I would recommend Rope Drop Nation. All right.
Yeah, so Splash Mountain, it's one of those damn two things at the same time. Laura's like, yes, there's the whatever attachments and such I've had with it over the years. And also, recognizing, this is a problematic thing that, to enough of a degree that this reskin does need to happen. And I am cautiously optimistic for Tiana. I look forward to finding out.
We just have the blessing of play. Just say with the New Orleans thing, that's like we lucked out with that. All right. Is that it?
I believe so.
Okay. Number 7, all systems go. We're talking Space Mountain. This is, for me, the definitive Disney coaster. And, Evan, I'm actually really glad you're in this chat because I am eternally locked in a battle with myself about what the better Space Mountain is. I really am. Disneyland has the better music. In my money, it does have the better star projections. I think so, at least. I think the star projections are way clearer on Disneyland's. But Florida clearly has the better queue. Clearly is more intense and thrilling, which I appreciate. So I genuinely, at this point, I'm honestly kind of leaning more Disneyland. Mostly just because as I get older, I worry about my back more. Like, I have thrown out my back due to my old age, and I do not want to risk that. So, Disneyland is Right Turn the Ride. Yeah, I know it's Right Turn the Ride. I know. You know what? I don't really care, because when you're in the building, and I'm going to start with my spiel now. When you're in the building, I realize it's Right Turn the Ride, but it still feels like you are in goddamn space every time. I hate the fact that it's going to be Hyperspace Mountain. Don't get me wrong. I genuinely fucking hate it. Although, I don't know. I'm cautiously going into it. I'm like, I enjoyed Hyperspace Mountain the first time I did it. I think it's well done. I just don't think it really belongs in Tomorrowland now that you have Galaxy's Edge. But by the same token, I do think that Disneyland's version, it is impressive that they're able to do those overlays with it. Hyperspace, Ghost Galaxy. I'm honestly kind of counting that as a factor for this ranking. Because obviously Space Mountain doesn't have the storytelling of Big Thunder, but I feel like going on Space Mountain feels like one of the bigger events at Disneyland. I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
I think so.
It feels like the build up, the lift hills, it genuinely is one of the most exciting elements of a Disneyland day is those Space Mountain rides. I really feel like, I don't know. I love the moment where you kind of come off of the second lift hill and you turn the corner and you can see kind of like the edges of the actual like physical mountain. There's a lot of cool elements like that. And of course, Disneyland
You're making me
does
sad
have
that it's going to be hyperspace again.
yeah. Disneyland does have the Mr. One-Way mythology as well. Like that is a factor. Evan says my favorite part of Disneyland Space Mountain is the one time it turns left. WDW feels more unique.
Well,
and less
actually, it turns to the left like at least 3 times. Maybe 4.
It does kind of feel like a local passion project with a budget. That's kind of a good way to put it. But I don't know. I guess I don't mind the fact that Disneyland feels manufactured, just because like that AC blasting in your face, the star projections, like for me, it's total escapism. I think it's escapism in the purest form. It can't quite hit the top 5, just because literally my top 5, I'm just gonna spoil it now. My top 5 is all 60s all the time. I'm sorry, all 60s all the time. But yeah, it's up there for sure. All right. What is your number 7?
My number 7, I gave to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Yeah, it's it's Big Thunder, but it's a lovely roller coaster type ride. You got some nice theme and elements. You have various animals. An enjoyable physical ride. It's one of those attractions where it's like, yeah, gotta respect being able to offer a great experience in just a couple minutes. Then, as far as another thing that I'd say our version has over Florida is the lighting in the Rainbow Caverns. Oh my God. Yes, it's amazing. Glad we have it. Really, with this, the only issue I can think of with Big Thunder really is the visible backstage areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, that's sort of a nitpicky thing. Yeah.
I honestly think that's kind of cool, though. I think that actually kind of like when I see the visible backstage areas and like the backs of the Fantasyland dark rides and stuff, it's like, okay, we are really in Disneyland now because this shit is like packed together.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about Disneyland, honestly, is just how packed in it is.
So, I don't know if I have a ton else to say about Big Thunder. I don't know. The safety voice sounds like Grandpa Lou.
It's not, but
I know.
You know, it's the same voice as Gumby, right?
I forgot that he was Gumby.
Yeah.
That's something I'd completely forgotten.
Mm-hmm. I'm Gumby, damn it. That Gumby. It's Eddie Murphy. No, obviously, I'm kidding. I'm just imagining. You haven't seen the Eddie Murphy Gumby? Really?
I don't think I even knew that existed.
Oh, it's an SNL sketch from back in the day. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite Eddie Murphy things.
Okay, that's on
the joke is very self-explanatory. It's just that like he's going on a talk show and everyone wants to talk about like, you know, the children's show, but he's like trying to take himself seriously, and he's like, I'm Gumby, damn it. All right.
Can we add that to the ride to Big Thunder? Just in one of the caves you pass by Eddie Murphy Gumby saying, I'm Gumby, damn it.
Well, now I'm just picturing the Eddie Murphy Gumby just doing the whole spiel. For your safety, please keep all hats, glasses inside the attraction, because I'm Gumby, damn it. God. All right. New Horizons says, I feel like Big Thunder does the opposite of space, where DL feels less manufactured than Walt Disney World's, because Disneyland's Big Thunder Mountain and Walt Disney World Space more proves the concept. Yeah, it's weird how we have like the opposite opinions there. I know I'm one of the few people that prefers the Florida version. I know that's unpopular, but ZNK says, but can we find a suitable Dal McKinnon voice double is the real question. I don't know.
I mean, if we're going by Rugrats history, I guess we'd have to get Michael McKean.
Fair enough. I could see him doing it. All right. So that's it. My number 6. It's the final DCA attraction because, like I said, my top 5 is all 60s all the time, baby. Literally all the iconic 60s attractions because I'm a basic bitch like that. But my number 6 is going to be Radiator Racers. And honestly, a lot of this has to do with placemaking, just because that one stretch, that Pacific Wharf stretch, is just like, I know that Disney Sea is basically the park, which is why I need to go to DC or Disney Sea. But just that little chunk, that little Disney Sea slice that we have is incredible. It's genuinely like probably the most immersive theme park moment I have ever experienced. Just walking under that arch and boom, you are on Route 66. You are on a California road trip. Like it's impeccable. And the attraction itself is, yeah, that's true. Well, the attraction itself is wonderful. I think the waterfall honestly does a lot. It really does. That initial like Sunday drive sequence, if the ride just started with the dark ride stuff, I honestly don't think this would rank in my top 10. That initial like Sunday drive sequence where you're going up and around and across
the music waterfall,
it adds so fucking much to that ride. Like honestly, that one sequence alone for me is like the reason to go to California Adventure. It's not enough of a reason to actually go to California Adventure because, California Adventure needs more iconic attraction moments than just that singular one is the only iconic moment that I consider. What? Sorry.
But jumping jellyfish.
Oh, God. Journey to the Center of the Earth is probably the most immersive, impeccably designed theme park attraction I've ever ridden. I do not doubt it. Like I said, that Sunday drive it adds so much. Like I can't even tell you. Like I said, if it just started with the dark ride, I don't think it would. I literally don't think it would be half the attraction that it is. It's such a great design call to start with that waterfall. And the dark ride itself is good, although I will say I am worried about some of the timing on it seems a little off these days. Like Mater's timing seems to be off, the tractor tipping seems to be off. So I do genuinely kind of worry about it
because that would be a derailment.
But then you have the starting line, which I think is another kind of like iconic theme park moment. And not just because Evan and I got stuck and had to get evacuated from that point, but I will admit that is part of it. The starting line, the actual race itself is thrilling. For my money, even though it's not quite as fast as the test track finale, it's like 10 times as good as the test track finale because yay, rock work. And yeah, just overall, it's an incredibly well-designed, solid attraction, an incredible bit of placemaking, really ties the whole park together in a way. And honestly, it genuinely makes me sad that DCA has kind of been backsliding from the, because it truly felt like when Cars Land and Buena Vista Street opened in 2012, it truly felt like this is it, man. They're really doing something with this park. And now with Adventures Campus and Pixar Pier, it's like, oh, what are we doing? But this was a great beacon of hope for the park. I cannot, in all good consciousness, place it in the top 5. But it's as high as it's as high as I could possibly rank it. Okay. Evan says it's amazing how they designed it specifically to hide lighting and any backstage elements that would be visible in any other attraction. Then 3 hours later, the 3 of us were evacuated from Pinocchio for the same. Really, what was the reason? I forget what the reason was. Was it that somebody got out of the car? Because if that's the case, that's super dangerous to do on racers, dude. Holy shit. All right. Your number 6?
My number 6, I gave to, prepares for your reaction to this one, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Meh. I mean, it's, at this point, it's the top 10. I'm not going to be like, it's
like, you could have been, it could have been a contender. Now I'm just in the top 10. But yeah, so the main things that I'd say this has going against it really is just being used to it. That's certainly a theme in some of these attractions, like being so used to it, and like Small World, it's being stuck in a boat with a dozen other people for 15 minutes. And yeah, the Captain Jack Sparrow stuff could be handled a bit better.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm not at all upset that it's not in your top 5.
Yeah, but, all that aside, even still, at the end of the day, it's a super well-made attraction. Some excellently done environments. Perhaps my favorite original song for the parks. And yeah, even like in Florida, the abbreviated version there, yeah, it's not as good as the one here, but it's still Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's one of those, beloved classic for a good reason. And I can't deny, some of the auctioneer's new dialogue has grown on me.
Nice.
Well, it's like I said sometimes before, even if just in my head. I'd love the parks even more if there were less people.
Yeah. I don't know, that's weird, man.
No
That's
other
weird
people
that the
besides cast
boats
members.
don't. It's weird that the boats don't give me social anxiety. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I have a guess as to why for me that I don't wish to talk about on air.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
And honestly, yeah, props to the second drop. It looks
totally
really nice.
Totally. That was a big surprise when I did it for the first time as a kid, because my grandparents even forgot that it was there, so they were surprised by it as well.
And
just
throwing it out there, I know it's old news, but I am like, it was really surprising to me at the time that they actually got rid of that waterfall effect.
Oh my god, dude, that transition, just chef's kiss. Fucking chef's kiss.
So much better now.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm glad they did it. It was just like, whoa, they actually went ahead and did it.
And okay, I have stuff to say about that, so I'll put a pin in it. All right, going on to the top 5, baby. Top 5. This might be sacrilegious. I know. We just went over the whole it's a top 10 and it's an honor just to get in, but I don't know. This still might piss people off. This was my number 3, I believe, at Disney World. It's going to be the Haunted Mansion. I know it's kind of crazy, but honestly, I genuinely think I was kind of spoiled with the Florida version of the Haunted Mansion, especially because Ezra and I literally caught it at a time where, because the stretch room wasn't operating, we were able to literally just marathon it.
That sounds delightful.
It was. It was also fucking surreal to just walk right through the stretch room. That's a Disney moment I will never forget.
Is the stretch room just being walked through, or is it your imagination?
That would have been wonderful if they would have had Corey Burden just record that line.
Of course, there's always my way. The lights flash above the ceiling, and it's Eddie Murphy, Gumby.
Oh my god. Okay, can we just make Eddie Murphy Gumby the running joke for this next trip? Can we just will that into existence?
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we're not forcing it, but it will. It should be fun to find opportunities in there. We have an incoming message hologram from Eddie Murphy Gumby. I don't know.
Oh my god. But I do kind of like the actual design of the mansion better at Disneyland. But honestly, now that Disney World is getting the Hatbox Ghost, that is kind of the one and only thing that I think Disneyland actually does a little bit better. And even then, the queue in Florida is better. So, like, I think the queue, the one other thing at Disneyland that is better is the actual, like, loading area, because I still remember, like, it's genuinely shocking to me in Florida how you just, the elevator doors open and the Omnimovers are just right there. So we do have a little bit more of a build-up in California. But by all intents and purposes, unfortunately, like, obviously this is a masterpiece. I do think because this does not have the MC Escher room, it feels a little short. It does. For me personally, it feels a little short, especially because this is one of the higher wait time. Like, this is more difficult to get on than Pirates. You can still get on it. You know, there's still times to jump on it, but it's a lot of times it is going to be in that kind of like unapproachable, like 45 minutes plus window for me. Not to mention that extended queue on the side of the graveyard is hell. Like, I genuinely, like, that is the most labyrinthian set of switchbacks I have ever encountered in a theme park. Seriously.
It's a good word for labyrinthian. Yeah. I wonder how much it factors in that, you know, Pirates doesn't have a whole walk-through pre-show portion to go through.
And too loud, I feel what you're saying about the Haunted Mansion loading area, but first of all, they have redone it a little bit, and honestly, I haven't really looked at that. Like, I know they've redone it. I've kind of generally sort of avoided spoilers for what they've done with it. But also, you can't deny that hallway, though. At the very least, the hallway with the portraits and the, you know, and the windows outside. I think that, you know, even if the loading area itself isn't great, I think that area is. So yeah, it's still in the top 5. It's still absolutely iconic for sure. And then, of course, Haunted Mansion Holiday literally taking up like almost half of the calendar year. That's not great. That's really not great. So that's why Florida, in my opinion, is like the prime version of the Haunted Mansion. I would wager Phantom Manor is probably the best version, but that's also kind of like, I hardly even count that because it's so different.
And then there's Tokyo's, which is Florida's with the holiday overlay.
Which would be interesting to see. I'm not gonna lie, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'd probably, whenever I make it there, it could well be at a time that has Holiday Nightmare going.
Whenever you make it there, we need to plan on that also being the time that I make it there, because I know for a fact my family is not going to want me to go alone.
Well, it's only another country.
Right. All right, what's your number 5?
My number 5. Well, Tiki, get ready to call me a sheep, because I'm giving number 5 to Rise of the Resistance.
Oh my god. Yeah, kind of, a little bit.
You know,
I mean, I'm glad it's not your number 1.
I don't deny it's still got the shiny new
the
toy.
Top 5, the number 5 is good.
Yeah, I don't deny it's still got the shiny new toy element for me, and I've been generally, even like since it opened, more avoidant of POVs of this one, especially with the sound-ons. You know, try and maintain the freshness. But no, yeah, I still think they did really well with it. You know, I still think it's a pretty immersive one. It's fun to, you know, be moving around in the trackless vehicle. Gotta give props to the seats in the queue. The Kylo animatronics are among the best I've seen. I feel like it's I mean, okay, I'll get back to that. Something I find kind of a neat little spin that this ride has on the theme park formula in general is that we're given an active reason to be passive. That's kind of amazing and clever. I know. I feel like it's perhaps the best use of a trackless ride system in marriage with its environment. Like Runaway's Railway would certainly be a contender as well.
I will raise you Pooh's Honey Hunt, sir.
Well, I mean, Pooh's Honey Hunt.
The room literally bounces, Monkey. The whole
I'm not talking about
bounces.
the room bouncing. I'm not talking about the room bouncing. I'm talking about the vehicle's design and how it blends in with the story and environment of its world. Yeah. And whereas with Railway would be much... Railway is like a second, but so much of that is kind of like just going in a straight path.
Yeah, I really like the way that Railway does. Like, I think Disneyland's, that little tunnel that Disneyland goes through adds a lot to the train element of Railway.
Yeah, Railway's trackless reason for being trackless is super clever. I mean, here, again, the way that the vehicle fits into the story and moves around the environment, it's, I think, a very well done marriage. And kind of going back to what you were saying before about a vehicle being a character with an arc, I love how...
Does it really have an arc, though?
Yeah, get R5, or at least the way I see it, which is something I really like about Rise of the Resistance, is how it's essential. The vehicle, the R5 droid piloting you, is essentially performing an acting exercise. Okay, you got to get from point A to point B. Here's a bunch of obstacles in your way. Find your ways to maneuver around them and get to point B. Which
I think is a neat way to literally doesn't work anymore, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that. Well, I'm not saying it's good that the cannons aren't working. They should get the cannons back working, especially if you're going to be charging individual lightning lane prices. Even then, like the last line of the ride is complimenting the vehicle pilot, which is adorable. I love that. So you calling me the voice of support for Rise of the Resistance. I still think it's a great little new adventure. Well, not little adventure, but it's a great new adventure. I'm glad to have it here in Disneyland Park.
Okay. Evan, I just don't think the timing is going to work out, because I know that whenever I get to Japan, it's going to probably be after Epic Universe opens, because that's going to be like 2024 is probably going to be a light year for me as far as travel goes.
Buzz Lightyear?
Oh God. Just because I very much want to try and do opening day for Epic Universe, which I know is insane, but I don't know. I just want to try and do it. But, I mean, if you're still in Japan in like 2026, 2027, maybe, but that's probably the soonest I will get there. All right. Number 4 for me. This might surprise you. The Tiki Room is not number 1. Walt Disney is a Enchanted Tiki Room. Number 4. Yeah.
It's only in the top 5.
Uh-huh. If I'm still here, something's gone terribly wrong. Opening day would be insane for anyone else, but it's just normal for Tiki. I don't know, man. I'm just like, I am just such a... I could be terribly proven wrong with Epic Universe. Epic Universe could fall flat on its face. But I am so hyped for Epic Universe that I don't mind facing that craziness to be one of the first people to see it. All right, so yeah, the Enchanted Tiki Room. I mean, obviously, I'm Tiki. This was my original first love. I honestly feel like I'm kind of cheating on it by not putting it at number 1, but whatever. So for me, my argument for the Tiki Room and why it holds up still has always been you enter this room and it literally comes alive. And it genuinely, for me, still feels the most out of anything that Disney's done. It feels like you are walking into one of Walt Disney's animated shorts. And I use the term silly symphony. It genuinely, to me, feels like a silly symphony, where it's like, it's got characters, it's got rising action, it's got falling action, it's got a climax. Unfortunately, yes, it is a little dated. I'm not going to lie. It is. That being said, I do think it's capsule. And I don't know, like, if you want to get a Hispanic actor to go in there and re-record Wally Bogue's lines, I honestly don't really care. I get it. I do. I just don't want too much of the actual script to be changed. I don't know. I would understand reworking it. I wouldn't throw a big fit over it. But by the same token, I feel like this attraction, not the Florida version, but this version specifically, is like such a touchstone of tiki culture and Americana and like where we were in the early 1960s. And it genuinely feels like a time capsule of that era and of that culture in like the best of ways. I love, like, you mentioned that the seats are a little uncomfortable, and that is true. That's why generally I go for the back, because honestly, the back rows are very comfortable.
The back row has a back.
Indeed. But with that said, I do appreciate, like, I do think it's ingenious the way the show was designed, that there's no bad seat in the house. And you know, it's like, if you want to sit under one of your favorite birds, you can do that. If you want to get close to the fountain, you can do that. I personally like to sit, if the totem poles aren't available, I like to sit under the flowers. So, you know, I like how you can customize it. You know what I mean? It's like, even though all the seats are relatively the same, you still kind of get different sort of vantage points every time. The Tiki Gardens, I mean, come on, forget about it. It's just fucking wonderful. I will say that it's a little like it. I've done some research on it, and you know, it's very kind of, it is sort of
inaccurate,
cultural appropriation in a way, because they do very much like simplify the culture and simplify the mythology. So I will say I would not mind if, because the statues themselves are incredible. Those carvings, I mean, genuinely some of the best, like, artistic work that Imagineering has ever done. I would not mind if they did new narrations for the Tiki gods to make them a little bit more culturally accurate. I really would not mind that. As much nostalgia as I have for the flavor of Hawaii, the flavor of Hawaii is basically Dole propaganda, and that's a little bit icky. Yeah. I will say, one of the things I'm not crazy with this attraction, specifically with Disneyland, is I honestly feel like the Dole Whip has become overly hyped to the point where, like, I feel like most people, like, kind of view this attraction and the Dole Whip as, like, inseparable from each other. And it's like, yeah, grab a Dole Whip and do the show. That's great. But for me, first of all, for me, it's always a dinner show. Like, I love to fucking grab some Bengal barbecue and go in there. That's just me. Like, if I'm going to be eating in the tiki room, oh, forget about it. That's awesome. But, you know, I don't know. I kind of feel like almost kind of write it off as like, yeah, it's the place to go to get the Dole Whip. And I'm like, no, it's so much more than that. It's history.
It's just connected to the place you get a Dole Whip.
What?
It's just connected to the place you get a Dole Whip.
Yeah. Although, hack people, nobody ever thinks about this, but they sell Dole Whips right around the corner at the Tropical Hideaway, right? The line is not going to be nearly as long. Just saying. Anyways.
And you can enter from that side of the building as well now.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you talking about it now is giving me the horrifying realization, like, holy shit, the Enchanted Tiki Room's going to be 60 this year.
Yep. Make no mistake, we will be doing an anniversary on that.
Oh.
Okay. Let's see. Z&K says, I like that silly symphony comparison. Never viewed it like that. Yeah, that clicked for me a few years ago, and I really think it kind of cemented my appreciation for it. It kind of put into words like what my childhood self really loved about it. Just, that animation, it really does feel like a short come to life, and I love it for that.
It's a silly symphony. It's a silly...
That's actually my least favorite song in the show.
Irony.
Okay. Just waited till May for what I've got for the Tiki Room 60th. Ooh, I am intrigued, Z&K. Z&K, let us know. By all means, I will keep an eye out for that. Okay. You're number 4.
All right. So my next two are ones that are a little apples and oranges-y. It's like difficult to place one over the other. So at least for the time being, this is the way I've gone about it. Number 4, kind of speaking of, it's only in the top 5. Like, I decided to give number 4 to Haunted Mansion. If nothing else, 4 is the best number in my book. So, yeah, again, like Pirates, it's a renowned classic for a reason. It's it's a well-designed attraction, some memorable scenes and characters. Hatbox Ghost is a classic. You got some nice atmosphere to it. Unlike Pirates, the walkthrough has that, other people issue, but hey, the vehicles are personal. It's like the main thing that really kind of gets in the way with Haunted Mansion for me is just being so used to it now. Like, yeah, that's Haunted Mansion. Here's how the routine goes. Which, it's a little unfortunate, but hey, I mean the one time I've done it since shutdown, the little updates helped make it feel a little more fresh. So yeah, look forward to finally getting on the regular version again soonish. Yeah, it's the Haunted Mansion. It's you can hear me. I'm at a bit of a loss for.
It's fair. I mean, it does speak for itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. Literally, the narrator is like, you got that narrator the whole time. Yes, I know he's called the ghost host, but I'm trying to make a pun on the attraction speaking for itself. Waka waka. And it's great. Speaking of, it's a great little touch of it is like, not even when he does it for you, but that final laugh of his. Like, it's great to be moving along the unload belt and just hear the laugh coming from that final laugh coming from other vehicles.
Yeah. I feel you.
Oh yeah. Haunted Mansion. It's a classic. What more do you want from me aside from the remaining 3 spots and maybe money, which you're not getting from me, at least not this time. Give me context.
Okay, my number 3 is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean. That's right. 2 World's Fair things in the top 2. No shame. Yeah, Pirates. I mean, what more can you say? Like, unfortunately, the Jack Sparrow shit does, like, that is probably, like, primarily the reason why this is not number 1. Because it takes away from it being a pure artistic statement, which is why my top 2 are top 2. But if I can overlook the Jack Sparrow stuff, this is still just, I mean, far and away, I don't think this has been topped. I respect you, Monkey, but I still think it's crazy to call Rise of the Resistance better than Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sorry. I don't know. For me, like, and you mentioned, with Florida, yeah, it's still pirates. Like, Florida literally feels like a best of. Florida feels so weird. This is the pure version of pirates. Like Lafitte's Landing is amazing. The Blue Bayou is amazing. Like the Blue Bayou, man. I mean, let's that whole transition, even before your adventure gets started, the Blue Bayou, floating into the Blue Bayou, and then the cabin, and then that dark transition to the skull. The caves are obviously a lot better in Disneyland. The cool transition that you added that they mentioned, that's just awesome. As much as I wish that they'd bring back the original captain, I still think that that ship versus fort set piece is maybe still to this day the most awe-inspiring set piece that Disney has ever done. I genuinely don't think they have ever topped themselves with it. Like, for me, it's just the most pure form of just total wow factor, total immersion. The way that you come out of the darkness and you've got the sky and you've got the rest of the town. You've got, obviously, the cannonballs. It's the fog. It's just everything, man. It's like, it legitimately probably the most impressive set piece ever for a Disney attraction, for my money. The stacking at the end is a bit of an issue. Not gonna lie, that's an issue.
More so that you end up stacked in that just between actual scenes with characters and whatnot.
Oh, you're talking about that weird kind of like space between the jail cells and the shootout.
Yeah, with the stuff in the ceiling.
Yep. That's not really the most entertaining spot in the ride, and that's usually where you're spending the most time. But
Rise just saves that spot for practically the very end.
All right. Like the one thing that Florida has over Disneyland is that I do appreciate whenever I'm on Florida's, I'm always like, oh yeah, we don't have to spend forever going up the lift hill and around in the station. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the only reason this isn't higher is because the Jack Sparrow stuff does throw a little bit of corporate cynicism in the mix.
Mostly, like, for me in particular, the poop pirate just saying Captain Jack Sparrow over and over.
That's the main thing. Yeah, that is the main thing. But I still think everything about the attraction, from the Blue Bayou to the transitions to that, the ship versus everything is immaculate. It's just unfortunate that it's a little bit corporate with that addition. But I mean, it's still number 3. It's still better than my initial number 1, when I was first going to the park. So it's just a Disneyland classic, man. It's like nothing's ever going to top it as far as I don't know. I genuinely think as far as just the pure ride goes, you really can't beat it.
Yeah, I guess the Disney Gallery used to be physically on top of it, but that's no longer the case. So,
right. Oh, you remember that little courtyard with the fountain monkey
in the Disney Gallery? I think so.
Oh man. Okay, you're number 3.
My number 3, I chose to give this time to Space Mountain.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, you're kind of touching on some of this before, but it's got excellence of simplicity. Just, yeah, we're gonna put you in a rocket and send you zooming around a dark dome full with star projections for a couple minutes, and we're gonna blow wind in your face to make it feel faster than it is. But yeah, the combined show elements do help add to the thrill factor of it. And like, not a rough thrill factor, but a thrill factor without as much roughness. Yes, that's kind of redundant to say, and of course, the music, what puts this piece especially high up in terms of park music. Like maybe even above Soarin' is how it's. I mean, that's a bit of a tough choice between those two scores. But what this one does have going for it is just how it is made to follow this track.
Totally.
Like,
Absolutely.
oh, you go up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go up a little, music reflects it. The music reflects whatever little turns you make in there. That's the kind of, it's fittingly enough that trope in music scoring called Mickey Mousing, where it's like synced up to whatever physical stuff is happening. Like, you know, there are times just me as a person where I might have some bit of music on, and if I'm really into it, I'll be like moving in time with it, in sync with it. And so this is like that. Totally. Yeah, this is that as a ride. Yes, thank you. So yeah, it's like you come in and you come back into the stage and it's like, oh, that was exhilarating. Yeah, it's that. So, and again, just being so simple, effectively simple, and in just a few minutes, that's kind of what makes it go above something like The Mansion, where, again, soup, very well done, but I get used to it easily.
Sure. I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so hats off to Space Mountain then.
All right. So I want to emphasize, I can't emphasize enough, my top two are the way they are specifically because I feel like both of them make important artistic statements that kind of rise above the art of theme parks, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like these two are just like cultural touchstones even outside of Disneyland. So with that in mind, my number two, do you know which two I'm talking about?
Yes.
Care to take a guess what's number two?
Is it Small World?
Yes, it's Small World.
I know you well enough.
You do. Yeah, it's a Small World. I mean, I get what you're saying about like it feels like you're in a warehouse, but I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
So much kinetic energy. There's so much lively atmosphere. Unlike Florida, they actually take care of it.
The Florida version is just inexplicable.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that Florida version, man. It's like Disney just decided, like, hey, all of the penny pinching that we're doing, let's just exclusively not spend any money on Small World. Any money. Hey, you hosing down that boat? Don't you hose down that boat? That costs water money. That's going to run up our water bill, motherfucker. That's how I feel about the state of Small World right now in Florida.
Well, I mean, it's not nothing. They repainted the clock tower, and at some point in the last however decades, they switched up the entrance and exit again for some reason.
Inexplicably, this also always has a longer line in Florida.
I mean, granted, I guess they also flipped the entrance and exit for ours at some point, but I don't know. It still feels a bit more natural for ours.
It does. Maybe. I already mentioned this, but for me, the initial kind of like floating along the flume while you're in the topiaries and admiring admiring the exterior. Like, that to me, it's up there with the intro to Radiator Springs Racers is like a perfect tone setter. Like, it's just every time I do it, I just get goosebumps because I'm just like, okay, like, here we go. We're about to float into the world of Mary Blair. That, like, genuinely, that's how I feel every damn time that I do this attraction.
Oh, that's sweet.
It never disappoints. I mean, and obviously the message is there. We need this kind of message more than ever. That's one of the big reasons why my number one is my number one, is because the state of the way that the world is right now. Yeah, just everything about this, man. The fact that the railroad passes right through it, that little clock tower show that happens every 15 minutes. It's all just iconic.
Every 15 minutes, it has the Grim Reaper come out in the parade.
That's not even funny. Don't sully the good name of It's a Small World with that shit.
Sorry.
I think
that's why it's not funny.
Like qualms with that program, right? Have we discussed?
Yeah, we discussed that on the Andre podcast.
It's so icky, man. I do not like that practice. It's just like, yeah, let's traumatize the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And then ironically enough, most people don't even take it seriously, except for the people that like are so sensitive that they wouldn't consider drunk driving anyway. It just scars them. Good job. Anyways.
Yes, I mean, yeah, so just get drunk on a small world boat instead.
Oh my god.
I'm not saying you should actually do this, but I am curious to know how that would go.
I mean, the closest that I've been is just every time I go on a Grand Fiesta tour, it's almost like a prerequisite to get a margarita beforehand. So I cannot say that I have been drunk on Small World, though. It's hard to get drunk at Disneyland, man, because the prices are so
also
high.
part of. Yeah, that too. That's not something.
The prices are high. They water down their alcohol. I swear to God, just try getting drunk off the 2 drinks that you get at Oga's Cantina. I guarantee you can't. I guarantee you can't.
Alternatively, for those who don't drink, just surround yourself with people who are getting drunk or something, and then it may wear off.
Right.
Yeah, I see. There's the penguins. They're turning penguin. I see. I'm the voice of the cyborg on Titans.
I will say I have done Pirates of the Caribbean under certain influences that I don't feel comfortable naming here, and it was incredible.
Imagine if the pirates were doing those influences instead of getting drunk.
I think they'd be a lot more chill, honestly.
Hi, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my god. Okay, what's your number 2?
God. So, first off, sorry for taking away so much from your sincere love of
it's all good. It's all good.
I mean, description of love for it. So,
they're cutting me out when I talk about Lincoln, motherfucker.
No taken.
I'm kidding.
Okay. So my number 2, I'm given to Radiator Springs Racers.
I'm surprised you have this high.
Yeah, I mean, like Mansion and Space were ones I'd considered as like putting above it, but what worked in Racers' favor is just that it combines the best of the other rides that came before it.
I can see that.
Yeah, you got the thrills, you got the scenery, you got the animatronics. Holy shit. Like, I remember like being like going on to the first time and the sheriff pulls out and I was like, like in my mind, just like, holy shit, it's one that does vowel sounds.
That is genuinely impressive for sure. I understand that.
Vowel sounds? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Yeah. Yeah. I can't quite find a way to make a Cars 2 Troll 2 pun, but whatever. But yeah, the ride is like the structure of the story goes nicely. It's it is kind of like a successor to Splash Mountain. Like, start outside, go inside, come back outside for the thrilling climax, and then back inside for the denouement. And the race is a lot of fun. Like, yeah, not as fast as Test Track, but still, you got that enough speed and the layout and the music to make it
rock work, or literally an employee parking lot.
I'd rather have the old Test Track, but I'm not saying I'd rather have the old Test Track over Radiator Springs Racers. I just rather have both Radiator Springs Racers here and the old Test Track in Florida. But that's me. Well, anyway, I mean, at least a parking lot is kind of thematic. appropriate for that one.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, and obviously the single rider line is a good help. And really, aside from maybe how they project the mouths in it, the only other notable nitpick I can think of, not accounting for like timing being thrown off, but just the way the ride is constructed, my only major nitpick would be I think Frank could be better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's just a great thing. One of the best, like, clearly I'm ranking it the best thing in DCA. One of the best things in the resorts. Because, like I said, it takes stuff that works so well in other rides and does them well.
Yeah, that's a solid argument. I didn't even think about it that way, but that is solid.
Yeah. And before anyone says it, yeah, walking by the queue through this exit is not as redundant here as it is on Indy.
Well, no.
This returns through less scenes or whatnot.
All right. And my number one, great moments with Mr. Lincoln. This is like, I'm not going to lie, this is kind of a political move on my part. Kind of, a little bit. But I still love the hell out of this attraction. Like, obviously, it's not the showstopper, biggest attraction ever, jaw-dropper, like something like Pirates of the Caribbean is. Obviously not. But I truly think everything about this attraction, like, first of all, the fact that it's a Disneyland exclusive. I mean, that in itself, to me, like, every time I'm in Florida, that is the attraction that I miss. You know, like, Hall of Presidents, American Adventure. American Adventure is great. It's not the same. Hall of Presidents, frankly, can kind of fuck off for reasons even outside of the Trump thing. I just don't think it's a very good show. But this is, I mean, first, I think it's perfectly paced. It's 15 minutes, and, you know, you get that backstory. Like, I love the Paul Frees narration. I love the music. The two brothers sequence, even though it was originally from American Adventure, it still fits in, like, beautifully well. And then, of course, you get the speech itself, which is just awesome. I mean, it truly is, you know, inspirational. And it's really like, Monkey, I grew up, like, I'm a few years older than you. So it's like, I grew up, like, I was in elementary school already, like, in the 90s, right? So I was in, like, for me, 9/11 happened in 4th grade for me. So I do have pretty vivid memories of, like, that pre-9/11 America, where it genuinely did feel like the best goddamn place in the world. And, like, this attraction just, like, it's very, very symbolic. Priest, don't tempt me. Don't fucking tempt me, please. Please don't tempt me. I could probably make a vlog out of that. I did do it 3 times in a row once. So yeah, like, everything about the actual speech is just, like, everything that I want this country to be that it is not right now. And it's just super inspirational, but also a twinge of melancholy, considering where we're at. Like, for me, it's a fucking rallying cry. It really is. And I think that outro with the stars and the glory, glory, hallelujah, and the way that the curtain closes exactly on his silhouette is unbelievable. It's like, I get chills just talking about it. It is so fucking good. Like, that is the wow moment for me. Like, it's, you know, it's not as technically impressive as a Pirates of the Caribbean or a Rise of the Resistance, but on an emotional level, it is a wow moment. It takes my breath away every single goddamn time. Let's see. Abraham Lincoln has been deemed controversial. God. The show will soon be changed. Great moments with William Henry Harrison.
You couldn't have said this yesterday on the anniversary of Harrison's death.
Also, the last thing I want to do talking about Lincoln, outside of the fact that Golden Dreams is a great kind of sort of palate cleanser after the epicness that is Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, like let's reset now. I love it. And the last thing I want to say about it is a story that I heard from Bob Gurr, listening to a podcast Bob Gurr did about this attraction, where he was talking about when it originally debuted at the World's Fair. He was kind of just like observing people going in and out of the attraction. I think it was something like Walt asked him to do that, like, just to kind of like keep tabs on people's reactions for a couple hours. And he noticed this group of, they weren't Black Panthers, but they're kind of like similar to that. And, just all, like, of course, this comes out like right in the heart of the civil rights movement, which is very appropriate for the attraction that it is. And these people, they were ready to fuck shit up. Like, they literally went into the show with the agenda to cause a riot. And the show was so powerful for them that they came out in tears. And that, to me, that right there, as soon as I heard that story, there was in my mind, this had to be number one. I mean, like no other theme park attraction has that kind of power. And it's still like the show that we have now is more or less the original World's Fair show, just with some music changed here and there. But it's about as close to that original World's Fair show. Obviously, the Lincoln animatronic has been updated, but it's pretty damn close. And last thing I'll say about it for real this time is just the fact that it's on Main Street and it's pretty much the first attraction that you come to. I don't think people give that enough credit. Like, that to me is huge. Like, it really elevates Main Street. I'm genuinely getting kind of emotional talking about this. It's like, I remember doing the flag retreat ceremony and then like, okay, like that was super patriotic. Let's take this patriotic high and go to Mr. Lincoln. Like, it fits the vibe of Main Street so well. It fits the Americana of Main Street so well. Also, I feel like an excellent tone setter for the rest of the park. And I know that's kind of weird to say, but the rest of the park,
not that weird.
The rest of the park in its purest form, like when you don't look at the never-ending barrage of IPs that we're currently dealing with, basically, in the purest form, and here you exit the world of today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. It's all Americana. And that's one of the things that I love about Disneyland. It is all Americana. It is all based on that. And so Mr. Lincoln, to me, is the thing that holds everything else together. For me, it's practically the mission statement of the whole damn park. Is Abraham Lincoln technically an IP? Oh, God. I mean, honestly, yes, because Walt saw Royal Dano in a play. So this could be looked at as like, it's like an adaptation of the play that Royal Dano was in. And it is kind of a franchise when you consider that Lincoln also appears in the Hall of Presidents. Theme Park Priest, dude, you would appreciate this attraction so much, bro. Like, seriously, you of all people. It's oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah, like I said, I genuinely don't think that any other theme park attraction in the world has this kind of power. All right, if we're having the Daniel Day-Lewis movie. All right, What is your
Hi,
number
and
one?
also for those listening, we did discuss Lincoln and other such attractions like Hall of Presidents and American Adventure back around, was it 2022 when we did that?
I want to say so.
Yeah,
Was Lincoln Touchstone? Really? That's weird. I didn't even know Touchstone like existed in 2012. All right.
but yeah. So my number one I gave to Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Oh my god. Oh
You
my
allowed
god.
it on this list.
Oh, that's my fault, I guess.
Let me do a more fitting laugh for Haunted Mansion Holiday.
I mean, I understand with the
I am
nostalgia and
so
your connection.
I am going so subjective with this number one.
Right.
Yeah, so the
I give this whole impassioned speech about like what the attraction means for the country, and you're like, but I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
yeah. Dressing the whatever the Halloween town equivalent of an elephant in the room is, I don't know, that straw horse in the room. Yeah, the complaints about the scheduling of this ride totally valid. And yeah, like I kind of said before, maybe feel a bit more open to making an exception for Halloween in September than Christmas in November. But yeah, it's emerging of the Haunted Mansion with, hey, Nightmare Before Christmas, favorite movie. You got you got the music in there that I love. You got the gingerbread house changing every year and being a great little gag. Well, not a little gag, a great, good-sized gag. The wires that hold the cards along the wall are impossible to see. But yeah, it's just it's done in a way that's, really good for me.
Yeah,
I'm
for
a
sure.
fan.
There's nothing wrong with nostalgia.
Yeah, it's
all right.
Like I've said, I mean, I'm a bit more than ready to do the regular version again, but it is always nice to just hear that, to be here. All right, they've started it up and going, and you got that music going. You got the music in the foyer. You got the arrangements of Kidnap the Sandy Claus. Oh yes.
It's weird that you know what I just realized a few days ago.
Me.
The fact that that the Fast Pass area is no longer a Fast Pass area.
Huh.
Because for me, that was like the iconic Fast Pass area.
It's a nice Fast Pass area. Well, at least had been.
Well, that's like the only place where they're like really playing that Phantom Manor music box.
Yeah. Oh, year round, at least.
Uh-huh.
Because then we use that for the Haunted Mansion holiday queue. Thank you, Tone Setter.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. You want to run through your top 10 one more time?
Yes. The way I gave my top 10 here is number 10, Alice in Wonderland. Number 9, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Number 8, Splash Mountain. Number 7, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Number 6, Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 5, Rise of the Resistance. Number 4, Haunted Mansion. Number 3, Space Mountain. Number 2, Radiator Springs Racers. And number 1, Haunted Mansion Holiday. Bitches, deal with it.
All right, Z and K, I would argue Nightmare Before Christmas because of the stop motion is technically live action.
Yeah.
I know that's not what you mean, but it's like, it's real things. It's, it's...
Yes. It's physical things. Yes, please.
I will say this, it's way more live action than that shit show Lion King remake.
Hell, it's more live action than the CGI in Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Yeah. Okay, for me, number 10, Indiana Jones Adventure. Number 9, Big Thunder Mountain. Number 8, Casey Jr. Circus Train. Number 7, Space Mountain. Number 6, Radiator Springs Racers. Number 5, The Haunted Mansion. Number 4, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 2, It's a Small World, sorry. And number 1, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. All right. Well, folks, if you want to go and vote on the next Great Ranking podcast, we have 5 beautiful options for you that I will now go over. You might have already seen the poll.
I love that you're going from my number 1 is Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln to here's a chance to vote.
Z and K already voted for Disney Tunes, but we have Tiki's Top 50 Coaster Credits, Disney Toon Studios, Gravity Falls episodes, DreamWorks Illumination movies. I grouped the 2 together just so we could get like a really good, like a really good number, so it's not just like a quick like 2 or 3 part thing. And then Spielberg films, because we're finally done with Spielberg month this year, and I'm actually caught up with literally everything. Okay, I'm really pulling for Disney Tunes. Monkey, I'm going to have to force you to do Disney Tunes with me if that wins.
Noted.
Because literally no one else is going to be willing to watch those Winnie the Pooh movies, Monkey. Nobody else.
Yeah, that's a list to get figured out on what qualifies and what doesn't.
Like I said, I think for me, I think everything before the Tinkerbell movies qualifies. That's my cutoff.
You know what? Screw it. When we get to that, I'm just going to make my number 1 Lady and the Tramp 2's Games Adventure despite everyone.
I've actually heard good things about that one. I've not actually watched it myself. Right.
Yeah, my enjoyment of it is mostly ironic, but that's me. Kind of tying back to this, they use Disneyland as backdrops once or twice.
They do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and thank everybody. Z and K, Theme Park Priest, Itchy Lot Productions, and New Horizons Music. You guys have all been awesome. This has been a really fun. Honestly, I think I honestly don't think anything's ever going to top the original Great Disney Ranking podcast, just because going through all those movies like in chronological order, that was a trip, man. That was a project. But I would say outside of that, this has definitely been my favorite like follow-up season to that. So yeah, so thank you, Monkey, for coming on me with this adventure. And we will see you all later.
We'll see you all a little later.
I'm Gumby, damn it.